Hi, I'm Mia Gonzalez, and I'm here with my dad. Say hi, Dad.
Hi, Dad.
We're at Vintage Days 2019 in Market Square. Come on, let's go check it out. Vintage Days is a celebration of days past, hosted by the City of Brownsville. This is a fun family event which is held in the historic downtown Market Square. It is a trip down memory lane. Well, maybe not for me, but for my dad it is. You can find everything from old-timey jewelry, antiques, cool retro toys, and some sweet-looking zoot suits. Something real cool about this year was the welcome home of a fully restored 1926 ladder truck fire engine. I spoke with the Brownsville's fire chief, Jarrett Sheldon, and Mr. Eugene Fernandez about where it was found and what the city has planned for this gem. Hi, Chief.
Hi, how are you doing?
So, how old is this fire truck?
This truck is a 1926, I believe it's an American LaFrance tiller truck. The city received it back in 1927.
And what are your plans to do with the truck?
Well, the plans are, now that we acquired the truck was last in service, known service time was back in the 1970s. We're hoping to house it in a museum with our other antique fire truck from the 1950s.
Where was it before it came here?
Before it was here, we were told that it was purchased by a gentleman up in Pennsylvania, and he fully restored this truck almost to operational condition. As you can see behind me, it's a beautiful truck, almost showroom quality.
For a little more of the story on how the ladder truck was found, I spoke to Mr. Eugene Fernandez, who has the best story about the truck.
In 1927, the city of Brownsville bought that truck new. It was a American LaFrance 1926 engine. The reason they bought it was because we were just building the El Jardín Hotel, which was 10 stories. The fire insurance required that you had adequate fire coverage in order to do that, otherwise it could not be built. So we got the truck. All right, the truck was in service here for all of the decades coming up into about 1970. Then it was auctioned off to private interests, and that man right over there with the orange hat is Richard Jaros. He was one of the guys that bought the truck back then, along with Jack Palmer, Walter Plitt, and several others. All right, so they had it for a while. It was last run in the Bicentennial Parade here in Brownsville, 1976. And then it went off to Connecticut with Mr. Jaros, and then he sold it to a fellow in Pennsylvania that was a collector and a restorer and whatever else. Now, how did I find out about the machine? All right, I took over the museum here, which was the Historic Brownsville Museum in 2016. I was going through the archives and sorting out all kinds of papers and photographs, and I came across a little newspaper clipping this big. And it had a real interesting looking truck on it, and it had all these people, the fire chief around it. So I said to myself, I wonder whatever happened to it. Well, I didn't let up. I then took it upon myself, and about 2 or 3 months later, I had a fellow in my office, and I said, do you know anything about this truck? He says, yeah, my brother was the fire chief. Well, let's call him. I got the fellow on the phone. He said, you remember the truck? Yeah, I remember it well. Well, what happened to it? Well, I think it sold off, and it went to like New York or Pennsylvania. Oh, really? Okay, who did it sell to? Well, I think the guy's name was Jones or Brown. And he had a trucking company. That's all of the information that I had on it, and I found it.
For any more info on the truck or anything else historic in Brownsville, make sure to visit Mr. Fernandez over at the Historic Brownsville Museum, located at 641 East Madison Street. I'm sure you can get even more rad stories from him. From vintage cars to old-timey fire trucks and some sweet fashion, it makes me crave some cheese tots. Let's go get some. Is it hot? Well, go on. Well, that was Vintage Day 2019 in a nutshell. Do you hear that? I think it's time to travel to Linear Park to Rebel Fest. Just down the road in the Midi Cultural District at Linear Park was the city's Rebel Fest. Star Wars characters and fans were on hand in a gathering of the galaxy's best fan base.
I was 5 when I saw Star Wars Episode 4 for the first time. It was on the VHS. And like it introed with "For those who remember, for those who will never forget, and for those who will experience it for the very first time." And then Chewbacca just.
Being a fan myself, I wanted to ask a few of my people some questions about the saga.
You look like a real big Star Wars fan. Who shot first?
Solo.
Good job.
Which are first?
Ladies and gentlemen, we have a bridge
Hands are first. Right here on the hand. Under the table. One shot, kill Greedo.
May the Force be with you. And corn.
That was a softball question for any Star Wars fan. Since we were talking about Han, let's pay an homage to the man behind the Chewie mask, Peter Mayhew.
You lived your whole life for this. All my life. This moment. Don't make me laugh.
Everybody give a round of applause to our Wookiees!
Did you like the Wookiee contest?
It was cool.
You're Wookiee.
I can't.
Come on,
For more information on upcoming events, please visit www.cob.us. And don't forget to follow BTV at vimeo.com/BrownsvilleTV. See you around!